going a little bit deeper into the topic and teaching entrepreneurs what measures there are out, what are the myriad ways that companies can use social media?
Oh, the many ways they can use it. Gosh, we could each do two. I'll start with one, listening, as well as letting your customers rank and rate your items. As low level as that sounds, it's very valuable, all those Amazon ratings and rankings. Keep going, there's so many ways of promoting. Being able to get, gosh, if it's through blogs, if it's through wikis, if it's through microblogs, so on and so forth, to promote your offering. There's a customer service tool. You can use it in that sense if you want to have your, say, your customers ask you questions on Twitter or your blogs. You can use it as a customer service tool. You could use social media to set the record straight, like GM has done a couple of times. I respect that. They've not just let the press talk about you know, their products, but they've said we want to go ahead and give our views, and so they've done that on their blog. We can have the world create knowledge like Wikipedia.
You can create personality for the brand, because much more so than an ad, the actual people, whatever you're doing there, create a real personality. You can even promote somebody within the company, whether it's the CEO or somebody who's the head of a certain division. If you have a smaller target audience where they're actually going to relate to that one person and deal with them on a regular basis, you can really sort of make that person somewhat prominent and give your company a personality.
Like Microsoft did with Robert Scoble.
Yes.
And what a superstar, you know, and I'm sure the PR department freaked out at first, because he was not your, you know, prim and proper, watch your words. He was just saying, let's just be out there and be real, and beautiful things happened as a result, giving personality. So
I love the way some companies use Twitter these days. I meet the marketing manager of FreshBooks at Blogger Social. His name's Sol.
Oh, Sol Cole, yeah.
And so I didn't know FreshBooks was on Twitter, but they are. So I follow FreshBooks now, so I use FreshBooks for my business. Just it's a small accounting.
Nice shout out to Sol there. Absolutely,
it's like a small.
And it's amazing. I mean, just looking what Zappos is doing on there, and so I mean, their CEO who's got hundreds of new followers a week. It's the CEO is talking about his travel plans and all this, and then responding to some customer service things, and so he's using his own right. But the most amazing thing to me about what they've done is they're encouraging their employees to use Twitter. On Zappos.com, you can see a feed of what anyone in the world is saying about Zappos on Twitter on the Zappos site, and then they have linked to their hundreds of employees, well over 300 last I checked, and maybe more than that. And so it's just opening the doors.
And he Twitters all the time, and not just to promote the place. I mean, I don't think the guy sleeps, but it's sort of a funny thing because they're based in Las Vegas, and so he's always going, just like we would go to a restaurant. I mean, he's going to some casino to have dinner.
Oh, sure.
And you always have to go, oh, right, because he lives there, right? But he'll just Twitter about what he's what he's eating, and it's sort of more mundane things, which actually serves to give him a personality and the company a personality.
Yeah, exactly. Like the FreshBooks one, they do movie quizzes, and they just shoot out a movie quiz, like FreshBooks Daily Movie Quiz. I mean, I'm not thinking of FreshBooks.
All right, that's creative.
It's a refreshing little contact with the brand or a company inside that medium, and it's perfect for that medium because it's just they ask questions. The first person to reply with the correct one gets a prize. And just give out a small prize. It's a great way to use it.
And so it's like pop quiz of the day.
It's like
you get
quiz
some.
of the day so that's a great.
Should there be a chief Twitter officer in every company?
Well, there should definitely be a chief listening officer, and then there's a few chief officers that we're still finding our way to what we need.
Although, how can you separate the CLO from the CMO?
How can you separate? It's interesting.
So you could just see the two of them not talking to each other.
The only issue, which is something
like
actually, there's something actually Ian Schaefer had brought up to me yesterday, is what happens when you have a named person out there, but then they leave the company.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So you just replace them. I mean, what I said to him is, so you just replace them. So, Mary is not on Twitter anymore, Jenny is. And welcome Jenny. And I think you can make that transition fairly smoothly.
I mean,
maybe.
And that's tough. I mean, and someone like Ian's case, so he runs an agency. There's not a real blog for the agency. It's at ianschafer.com. So what happens if he decides to sell the agency? I mean, it's a really tough question, and so there is somebody who said, and I mean, who's replaced Robert Scoble at Microsoft? Is that kind of boy?
I can't imagine trying to replace. I would think it would be, I think that would have been.
It's almost like the way I sort of was thinking. It's almost like like a radio host or something, where the star of a TV show, when they leave, the Tonight Show, like what happened when Johnny Carson retired. They struggled for a few years.
But he was grooming Leno for a long time there. I mean, think about it. They had to groom so. That's a really good question. I don't have an answer to it, but I can tell you that Scoble was not replaceable, and
Scoble wasn't a planned event.
There's one fortuitous event like Boeing had the blog, and so the blog was Randy's Journal, and it was this guy who really did a great job in connecting with the people who were really interested in the aerospace industry and and planes, and so all these engineers and others would follow him, and he got a really core audience. He left. Now, coincidentally, the guy who they chose to replace him was also named Randy and happens to have a phenomenal voice and was able to keep it going. So they were able to call it Randy's Journal, and they basically all they did was change the headshot, and it's like, hey, is it?
There you just hire people with the same name.
So that's one strategy. But at least it was a Boeing blog. There was no question. So if the guy who replaced Randy was Steve, it wouldn't have suffered too much if they had a guy who.
We're going to see a lot more of that in the coming years. I mean, that's a great question, and one we'll have to come back to. But another way to use social media, because a lot of times when we think social media, we think consumer, and I love business to consumer, but I really enjoy B2B marketing. And a couple ways here is to get think about what your customers' passions are, professions are, or pain points are, because you can build conversation as well as build some creations around that. Internally, companies will do their own wikis, where internally in Intel, they've built a large wiki that helps all the employees. You could, in biotech alone, what can be talked about in phase 2 clinical trials and whatnot, once it's out in the open, you could build, a vast wiki of knowledge or encyclopedic knowledge there. So those ways you can use it too that can benefit so many customers. They don't have to just be on the consumer side. And that's something that I hit around a lot, because a lot of people are asking us, does this really apply to B2B? And actually that's where a lot of the opportunity is. Because we all have to work, and we all want to make our work easier, more fun, more valuable, and contribute. What a great way to bring this online. You can do it globally.
I think if you're any type of content producer, that you can disseminate content so effectively now through different social media channels. One that comes to mind recently is research companies. They typically bring in Forresters and the Gartners of the world, and the Jupiters of the world, that give all these reports all the time. White papers used to fill up people with stacks and stacks of people's desks. A lot of these companies are experimenting and doing a good job, I think, with blogs and podcasts and even Twitter and stuff like that, and getting the content that they produce and the expertise that they have out there using these new tools. And they're sort of broadcasting, but becoming more of a broadcast company rather than just a content company that people go to and buy things from. You have to call them up. They're really broadcasting their stuff out there, and I think that's really good. And agencies are another great example. I mean, agencies, broadcast a lot of their work now on websites and different places, not just for clients, but as agencies. They're talking about their good work. I think that's great as well.
And their own thought leadership methodologies too. And that is really important, because how do you tell one agency from another? And believe me, when you ask an agency that, they want to tell you.